Hey, this is Ben Roberts, lead host and convener of the Now What Global Gathering on the art of being fully human in a time of crisis. It is Thursday, April 23rd. There's 1 week to go now after the completion of today in this edition of the gathering. And I wanted to record a short video that talked a bit more about the gift economy elements in Now What. In the previous two editions, we didn't really organize anything to activate the gift economy, whether that was um, gifts of services, skills, connections, or financial gifts during Now What proper. And the financial piece was the only one where a lot of attention was paid, and that all happened after the gathering completed. This time around, I want to invite people to consider ways that we can activate a nourishing and generous flow of gifts throughout the web that is Now What, and that Now What is interconnected with as we move into this closing week. There's a little diagram that outlines some of the different elements of the Now What gift economy, and there's two basic categories: things like time, skills, and connections. All the things we can give to one another directly, and the money element. So I just want to go over these briefly and name some of the different possibilities here. In this domain, um, we have two sources that we can tap into for this. One is the existing data from Now What registrants. So many people, when they created profiles for the Now What network map, indicated skills that they either had to offer or that they needed. And there's a view on the map that shows that, but there's also data, other ways to work with that data. In addition, because we have people's emails, we can issue new invitations in various ways. And here are three different possibilities for how we might activate some flow throughout the network of networks that's showing up in Now What. One would be to organize some actual gift circle conversations. These could be Zoom calls in all likelihood, and a simple process where people go around and name things they have to offer and things they'd like to receive. And these could potentially be sorted by some of the different categories of skills that people have identified. Another option is weaving, where one or more people take it on themselves to make some matches, to look through who's there, or to look at particular requests that come in or that we might invite, and work through their own networks and the networks they can connect to see if they can offer some support. And finally, there's a whole universe of tools and platforms out there that can do kind of matching of offers and requests, and we could potentially invite people in different ways onto one or more of those to see what happens in that with those capacities. Then there's the realm of money, and in previous editions of Now What, we've moved something between $2,000 and $3,000. And we don't know how much money will move this time around. The last time I checked, there was about $600 that had come in through direct contributions on the Open Collective platform, and this music, I love the way it shifted right as I started this. Yay, money! It's not evil. It's not bad. It's a mess, that's for sure. It comes with baggage, but we're playing with it, mess and all. And play, I think, needs to be the spirit of how we approach this, even if the amounts of money become more significant. Although certainly even small amounts can be very significant to people, particularly in these times. So we gather pool money in gifts and requests for gifts. And as I mentioned, right now there's about $600 that's come in, a little bit less than that. There are pledges for I think another 1,200 or so last time I checked that people made when they registered. And many people never got that far into the registration process or said, talk to me when Now What is over, or when I've had some experience. So there's the potential to go out and make more requests, which is what I've done in the past once Now What is complete, but I'd like to move into in this final week now. So we gather this pool of money, and at the same time, we have a process for dividing it into three different buckets. So net of some of the processing fees through the Open Collective platform, we wind up with a pool of money, and it goes into three different domains. There is a participation dividend, and that is available to anyone who has become a member of the Now What Collective. And it's okay for people to still join the collective if they wish. We have a process for that through a personal invitation conversation. If you go to the Now What website at nowat2020.com, under the About tab, you'll see information on that. The second, so the participation dividend pool is basically divided up equally among everyone who requests it, and that's 20% of the money that comes in. In the past two editions, a fairly small percentage of people asked for this, and so even though the total amount of money we had was small, that dividend was $70 to $73 per person. Then we have the second category, the largest, that I finally realized should just be called requests. So people can ask for money. If you were a member of the Now What Collective, you can ask for money in addition to the participation dividend. Typically, I've framed this in terms of you having done work and saying what that work is. And I think that's still an important element to name, here's what I offered, here's what I contributed as part of what goes along with this request. You're not being paid to have done it. What you did was a gift. And you're still being invited to make a request and to make visible how you've showed up. The other thing that we're going to invite this time around are needs. So in addition to saying what you offered, you can say what you need and why, if you wish. And then name an amount of money that you'd like to receive. And we collect all of those requests together. Anyone who wishes to, who's a member of the collective, is invited to make a request. And then there's a period of sort of looking at all of them and seeing, how much in total has been asked for, and do people want to adjust what they've asked for when they see what others have asked for, maybe up, maybe down. Potentially anyone could object because all of this is operating on the principle of consent. So you could say, I really have a problem with what someone's asking for, presumably because they asked for too much, but I suppose because they asked for too little. And then we'd need some kind of a governance deliberation process, to address what happens from there. Once that's settled, then we have a set of requests. A certain amount of money in total has been requested. Let's say it's $10,000, and let's say that we receive $5,000. Well, that 60% of what we receive is $5,000 net of fees. That means everybody's request is met at 50 cents on the dollar. If we received the full, if that 60% was 10,000, we'd have enough to pay everybody. If it was more than that, we'd have a surplus that could increase our participation dividend pool or our gifts to the world. And I guess we'd have to decide which of those buckets it would go into or how it would go. And then finally, there are the gifts to the world. So this is to support projects out in the wider world. And in the past, we've used two different approaches to this in the previous two editions to Now What, where we've worked with money. And come up with, in one case, we picked one project and gave that all the funding using instant runoff ranked choice voting. And in the other one, we allowed anyone who wanted to nominate a project, and all those nominees were available. And then anyone who wanted to could allocate their share of this 20% across those projects. And that spread the money out quite widely and was an interesting process. At this point, there's no commitment to any particular process for how we'll do this piece. And so that's something that I will be looking to the Now What Collective to develop over the coming week and also after Now What ends. So typically this whole process continues over about a month once Now What itself has completed in terms of the engagement. And we continue gathering money, making requests, and processing the requests for how that money gets allocated. So I look forward to engaging with any of you who are interested in supporting this aspect of the Now What Global Gathering. Thanks so much for your time and attention.